waan dhaqaaqay haddaad tiri dhagar islaam baan soo duwaa Allah hobalin hobalowa Allah hobalin hobalowa
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Right now, I want to welcome Abdul to the mic. He is the one that advocated for us to be part of this decision making. Like we heard Mr. Jean Charest, that the Conservative Party is changing. They're trying to be more inclusive and including us in decision making. I want anybody who has any questions to hold it at the end. We will ask questions. Yes? And then now I want to welcome Abdul and for him to tell us why he supports this movement, first of all, and his experience the time that he was working with Patrick Brown.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Assalamualaikum sida waqtiga ay qorayaan walaal Soomaali. Marka hore su'aalaha karmaan waqtiga khaliga ay marteen sababta ay cadeynaysaa inay tiidin dad karti leh oo go'aan leh oo rabo wadankan sida wax u socda inay fahmaan. Markaan saarnay waxaan rabaa inaan idin sheego maanta ruuxa martida noo ah wuxuu u dagaalamay waagii backlash ugu jiray sharciga Soomaalida loo diiday ee halkan qortigu ku ahaayeen 1990s meesha ugu badan ay soo galeen waxay ahayd Quebec ninka u dagaalamo halkan. He's the man who fight for a lot of people who came here who are immigrants and they were all citizens and permits for them to work. He's the man who fights for it. So for that reason, it shows us he cares about equality. In Canada, he shows us it's equal for all of us. I want to add to this conversation, honestly. Conservative Party is just a party, just like Liberal and NDP. It's up to us to choose to become a member and make our voice to be heard and issues that matter to us. Because we are Canadian, we live here, and you start having kids already, including me. So please, it's time to act and get involved. Not only to sit back and to think that everything's going to be okay and someone else has to deal with it, not your issue. But when it comes to your time, when someone tells you you can't wear a hijab, it bothers you. Therefore, time ahead and let the guy know issue or what they know yet. Marka waxay ku wadanayaa waqtiga qaaliga oo qofku waxa ku siiyo waxa uu muhiimsan. Marka waxaa sidii intii aan ku badan waqtiga soo siisay. Nasirada.
Are you sure you're not running? You know, people love him because he's a community guy. We're here to welcome Mr. Jean Charest, who's running to become the next leader for the Conservative Party. And, you know, like we want to be part of that decision making. So we're here to welcome you. This is a portion of the Somali Canadian community. You know, just want to let you know that a lot of this community does not identify as conservatives, but a lot of the people that are sitting here are the ones that elected Patrick Brown to be the leader, and now they know what to do with that letter that tells you who's your first, second choice. After today's meeting, that should give you a clear understanding of who's going to visit our community and who's going to be part of it. Mr. Jean Charest joined politics since 1984. He had many positions, including deputy mayor, one of the youngest, the fifth deputy prime minister. He was the premier of Quebec for several years, and also he had a lot of minister cabinets as well, including the youth minister and environment, believe it or not, as a conservative. He joined the Rio Convention for Environment years ago. He was part of that, representing Canada. and the environment, and he's going to tell us more about his understanding about pipelines and all those decisions that are coming across. We know Canada has been divided for a while now in terms of politics. The Conservative Party has lost the last 3 elections, 2015, 19, and 2020. However, I feel like we didn't have a lot to choose from. It's like choosing from battle horse. But anyways, I'm hoping that changes for the next election. And we are here to take the active part of that decision making. Right? Mr. Jean Charest, I welcome you.
Thank you very, very much for the kind introduction and generous introduction. Thank you very much for hosting me and coming out tonight. And I'm very grateful that you would take time to listen to me and to get to know me. You mentioned a moment ago that when this leadership race started, our friend Patrick Brown reached out to your community. And he reached out to a number of communities because he felt it was very important that you be part of this process and that you be part of a process where you are closer to where political decisions are made. And as you mentioned, the Conservative Party has not always been the first choice for those of you who are in the surrounding community. But this isn't about, let's start by saying about partisan politics. This is about you. It's first about you and about your place in this country as Canadian citizens. And it's about what you and I have in common. And what we have in common is that we are citizens of the same country. And this country is changing a lot, and it's changing very rapidly. Patrick Brown wanted you to be part of this process because it felt that it was important that we as Canadians and as a political party embrace the new reality of Canada. And I'll give you an example, a way of seeing or looking at this. In the new reality of Canada, I am the visible minority in this room. I'm not you. And you know what? I feel very comfortable. I feel at home. I don't feel that I'm a stranger in this room or a stranger in that. This is my home, as it is your home also. In this leadership race, we have a competition between myself and mostly Mr. Poilievre. Mr. Poilievre has been very much on the American style of politics. A very, opposition politics and polarization and attacks. And if there's one thing that I know about my country and about our country, is that we are not Americans. We don't want to be Americans. And by the way, it's not that we don't like Americans. They're good neighbors of ours, they're allies and they're friends. But there's a border. And there's a reason why there's a border between both countries. It's because we have made a different choice in how we want to live our lives and how we want to practice politics. And we don't want American-style politics in Canada. Now, the Conservative Party in Canada is the alternative to the Liberal Party and Mr. Trudeau. And the Liberal Party and Mr. Trudeau has been in government a long time now. And a lot of Canadians are frustrated that there's no clear economic plan, there's no sense of direction, that Mr. Trudeau has talked a lot about, values and things, but really hasn't delivered a great deal. And the country needs direction. As you mentioned earlier, the country is very deeply divided now. And it's divided between East and West, and divided between people who live in cities and rural Canadians, and divided between new Canadians and others. And the job of the Prime Minister is to keep the country united. That's the #1 job of the Prime Minister. We live in a federal system of government. Canada, as all of us know, has a great landmass, and we only have 38 million people. And we need to be able to unite to get big things done. We cannot accomplish great things as a country unless we're united. And whether it's on natural resources, projects like oil and gas and pipelines and mining, those are the projects that we should be able to accomplish together, but we're not getting done because we don't have that leadership. Now, I want to tell you also that I believe in conservative values, and I want to name those values for you so that you know what I stand for. I believe in fiscal conservatism, which means managing our books in such a way where we manage them like a family or like a business, and we make sure that we balance our books, that we respect our budgets. I believe in a market-based economy, an economy where the private sector creates jobs. I believe in economic policies that grow the economy, not just for the sake of growing the economy, but also because we want better lives. We want more disposable income. We want each of our citizens to have a life that is prosperous and good for them, but also for their children, so that they can buy a house, that they can also start a business and make their lives. I also believe in families. Families are the cornerstone of our society, the very foundation of our society, and all types of families. I also believe in law and order, what we call the rule of law, respecting laws, which is extremely important. Without respecting laws, there are no freedoms. And I want to come back to that in a moment. But I also believe in a form of federalism that respects the jurisdictions of the provinces. Now, on laws, I want to spend a moment on one matter that has a direct consequence on your community, and this is Bill 21 in Quebec. Patrick was opposed to Bill 21, and so was I. And when I was Premier of Quebec, I had put together a commission because there had been this issue about what they called reasonable accommodations. How in government and in business we should allow and accommodate the religious faiths of different people in this country. And this commission came back to me and they said to me and recommended that I outlaw religious symbols. And I was Premier at the time, and I refused to do it. And I said, no, I'm not going to do this because it is wrong. And I don't believe in it. And as I mentioned earlier, because I believe in the rule of law, and the rule of law includes recognizing the rights and the basic rights of men and women who have different religions.
That's part of the meaning as well.
Yes. Yes. And wear your hijab and teach in the school, which is, you would not be allowed to do today in Quebec. Well, when this law came out, I said I was opposed to it. And I wasn't running for office at the time. And in this leadership race with Patrick, I was the first one to say, I'm opposed to this law. And if it goes to the Supreme Court of Canada, then I will fight this law. Even Mr. Trudeau wasn't saying that. To my own dismay. And Mr. Poilievre took a position in Quebec. He said to the people in Quebec in French that he would not fight the law. That he would not try to change the law. Well, I think that says everything you need to know. And then we had the debate in that, and then Mr. Trudeau came out on that day. He said, well, we'll fight it in the Supreme Court. He followed my lead, not the other way around. And I'm going to hand it back to you so that you can ask questions. But I want to close by saying this. We as a country need to embrace who we are and embrace every one of our citizens. That's the country I believe in. I think it is a privilege for us to be citizens of this country. We've won the lottery, but we should not take our country for granted. We need leaders who believe in these things and are ready to stand up and fight for it. And I've done that in the past, and I will do that in the future, and I will do that for you, for your rights. And as leader of the Conservative Party, we need to be part of that battle in the House of Commons, and that's why I'm running in this leadership race. So thank you very, very much for being here tonight.
Thank you. People say I'm a community activist, this and that just by talk, but he is literally, because, and he mentored me, because the first time I started coming back to the community and working with them, I used to be like, I don't know, I'm not that comfortable on the outside of the in. We look alike, but maybe. But he's like, no, get comfortable. this is the people, we love each other. And you know what? We have been working so hard in this country. We brought our dreams here. We came here for safety. We came here to progress. We came here to practice our culture and religion, for most importantly. It's not something that we take lightly. A lot of these Muslim communities that immigrated before us, some of them changed their names. Some of them don't wear hijab, like the Arab community. But we let that. We let that because Canada said, everybody's welcome and you are free to practice who you are. So let's put that into action. Let's not just dismiss it and let's not make it about politics. So I want to ask Mr. Jean Charest a very important question. I'm not too sure if you're aware of the difficulties and the issues the Somali Canadian community is facing. I can just speak to it, just not only because I'm one of them by experience, but the questions and the amount of things and the issues that are coming up to us. One of them is gun violence, job unemployment, expensive rents. People are renting apartments for $3,000. That's inhumane. If your job is not even paying you that much, it's not going up with inflation, inflation, how can you put food on the table? Those are the issues. Let's talk about those issues. So Mr. Jean Charest, you came back after a decade of being away from politics. And I'm sure you have a very good reason why you came back. Please speak on those issues.
Thank you very much. And those are very important questions. And let me start about jobs and work. You mentioned gun violence. And it has become a very, very urgent issue in every city in Canada. I live in Montreal. Yesterday, or the day before yesterday, my wife Michelle, who by the way would have been with me tonight had it not been for the fact that our granddaughter is with us right now with her grandchildren. She went with her granddaughter to a shopping center in Montreal, a walking center. And when they came out, there were police officers because someone had been shot in the parking lot, assassinated in broad daylight at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And then a half hour later, someone else is shot. We have in this country today a very important crisis of gun violence and handgun violence in our cities. And that is the urgent issue that the next government of Canada has to attend to and has to address. And I would put together a special unit of the RCMP with other police forces across the country and in cities so that we stop bringing in handguns, illegal handguns from the United States, and stop that, and have much more severe sentencing for anyone who uses handguns. And then we have more police officers and more surveillance to be able to protect ourselves from these type of crimes. We are not the Far West. I mean, this is not a jungle, and we should not allow our cities to be turned into crime scenes. And so that's one issue. On the issue of jobs, it will be, and it is a challenge for those who come to the country and are new to be able to integrate into the labor market. But let me speak to what it is to be a new Canadian and how we as a country need to address the issue of bringing people in. There's two ingredients to successful immigration. The first one is that those people who come here need to be fully motivated to integrate, as they are. And the country that hosts them, we, Canada, also have to be fully motivated to integrate those who come here. These are two ingredients that need to meet. Canada, of all the countries in the world, is probably one of those who does it best. But there is a lot lacking. And how do we integrate? We integrate by allowing and encouraging people to have jobs, to work, earn their living and their life. And to do that, we need to recognize credentials of those who come here, whether they're professionals, whether they're tradespeople, or otherwise. And we need people in every category, by the way. It includes teachers, it includes non-skilled people. We have labor shortages right now. And so every single person is important in our country. And we need to address this in a way that allows people to present themselves as they are. As I mentioned earlier, embrace the country as we are today. Not as some people imagine it, as it was in some other time. And so bringing those who arrive in the country and newly arrived immigrants into the labor market is going to be a very high priority to making sure that they're fully integrated, recognizing the credentials, training, and supporting them so that they're able to make the transition in. And that means supporting their livelihood as they do that, helping them finance an apartment and finance their lives as they integrate into labor. I'm not worried at all about that, by the way. Everything we know, every experience Canada has had over 400 years of immigration has always been the same. People arrive here, new Canadians, they find entry-level jobs and they integrate into labor. That's been the story of our country. And they add a lot to the economy. The most, the strongest percentage of entrepreneurs are within recent immigrants. They're the ones who create jobs. And financially, it is very, very profitable for the country, for the whole country. And so we need leaders who are going to say to business leaders that we need to integrate more, and you need to have better representation of new Canadians in your businesses. And the affordability of houses and inflation is a big issue now. One of the things we need to do is better control government spending. But I also think we're going to have to look at income taxes and reducing income taxes so that we can increase the disposable income of Canadians. Otherwise, that income and that revenue is going to be eaten away at by higher inflation. So those are among the things that we can do to make your life better.
I just want us to take a minute to thank Mr. Jean Charest and also to make him understand, actually, we never received any of those government assistance back in the 1990s when the huge flood of immigrants and refugees came from Somalia. We never received that. People that immigrated to this country before me know that, right? So right now it's prayer time, but I just want to open it for the next 3 minutes. Just 2 questions from the audience quickly, if anybody has a pressing question. Yes?
Oh, you want to? I can read too. I'll take it.
Bonsoir, Monsieur Charest. Hello, everyone, and thank you for coming. And this is my daughter. My name is Papa. My question for you is, well, first of all, I have integrated into the country. Came into the country when I was 13, did my education here, and now I'm an entrepreneur. And my question is, what is your government going to do for someone like me to break the barriers for Black women, entrepreneurs who want to make it into the economy when they're opening a business? Because there are a lot of barriers, especially for mothers like myself. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. And what kind of business are you involved in?
I'm a esthetician, so I'm
Congratulations, and you're doing this at a very young age also, and you have a very beautiful daughter. One of the things we need to do is celebrate your success and your presence and accept them. And you need leaders who are going to say, this is the new country in which we belong. We should, for new entrepreneurs who come into the market, have ways to support you financially, to make sure that you have the financial support that you need in the first years to start your business and then fly on your own and prosper and be able to employ people and create jobs and prosperity for everyone. I think that's one of the things we should do. But I think you also want to live in a country where leaders say that a woman who wears a Punjab is as Canadian as someone like me who is half Irish and half French Canadian. There is no difference. The only difference we see is in the eyes of some people. And let me share, I want to share a story, a personal story for me, when I see that I'm half Irish, my mother was 11. My mother was not born in Ireland, she was third generation. And one day I came back from school and I said to my mother, I walked into the kitchen, I said, someone in school said to me that I'm English because I speak English. And she became very animated. And she took me by the arm and said to me, Jean, you're not English, you're Irish. She had never been to Ireland in her life. And yet she felt that very deep attachment to that Irish identity. I look at you today and who you are and what you are. You're Canadian, but you're also Canadian with Somali and you're Muslims. And that's perfectly fine. And so I want this to be something that we treasure. Why I'm very confident you're going to do very well. I'm sure that your daughter one day will inherit a great business. Who knows, it may be a chain.
Thank you so much. And you know what? Leslie, she underplayed. She's actually a product developer. I use some of her products as my skin developer, right? And that's what she's doing. So we get a break for the prayer. Mr. Jean Charest is going to stay with us, and let's come back in 10 minutes. Thank you.
See